Klambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanavadanam Dhyayet Sarvavighnopashantaye. Om. Dear friends, so we were just reading how Duryodhana was actually reviewing the army. He is first reviewing the enemy army. And he has been telling who are all these warriors, all the mighty warriors on the other side. In fact, these are all people who are trained by you. So he is saying, Atra Shura Maheshwasaha, Maheshwasa, people with great bow. Ishwasa, Ishwasa means a great bow. So Maheshwasaha, Bhimarjuna Samayudhi. Most of the people are equal to Bhishma, Bhima and Arjuna in the battle. And he is naming all these people like Yuyudhano, Viratascha, Drupadascha, Yuyudhana, Virata, Drupada, Drushtaketushchekitanaha, Kashirajascha Viryavan, Purujit, Kunti Bhojascha, Shaibyascha, Narapangavaha. All these are names. Who is there? Who are they? Drushtaketu is one name. Then Purujit is another name. Kunti Bhoja is another name. Like that. Then Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta, Uttamaujascha Viryavan, Saubhadro Draupadeyascha, Sarvayeva Maharathaha. All these people. One man called Yudhamanyu and another man called Uttamaujaha. Another man called Saubhadra. Saubhadra is our own Abhimanyu. Subhadra's son is Saubhadra. Saubhadra means Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu and Draupadeyascha, the sons of Draupadi. So all these people are Maharathis. Maharatha means somebody who is able to fight 10,000 archers at a time. He is sitting, he is on a chariot, he is on a grand chariot. In fact, the chariot is, it was probably a very big weapon. It was a very big instrument rather. It was a very big instrument in that time. Because the army was having 4 types of forces. That is Ratha, Gaja, Turaga, Padati. Ratha means chariot. So chariot was the mightiest thing. Like we have this army tankers now, and of course they didn't have any air force, etc. Only on the land. And on the land, this Ratha was the mighty thing, and followed by the elephant army, and followed by horses. That is cavalry, as we call it. All the cavalry was there. And again, the foot soldiers, ordinary soldiers who went there with the swords or daggers or whatever, axes, whatever weapons they had. So these 4, Ratha, Gaja, Turaga. Turaga means horse, and Padati. Padati means the foot soldiers. So these people who were seated on these mighty chariots, they were able to fight 10,000 warriors at a time. So that was the picture. Then he is reviewing his own army. Duryodhana says, Asmakam tu Vishishtaye tan nibodha dvijottama Nayaka mama sainyasya sanyartham tan bravimite. So he says, I am telling you, for your information, I am just telling our own heroes. Sanyartham, for your information, tan bravimite, I am going to tell you. And he says, Bhavan Bhishmasya Karnasya. He is counting from the teacher first. Anyway, because he has used some sarcastic words earlier, so he doesn't want to displease him much. So he says, Bhavan Bhishmasya. So thereafter Bhishma, Karnasya, Krupasya. So Karna, in fact, he was not classified as a very high-ranking warrior by Bhishmacharya. But still, according to Duryodhana's protocol, as per Duryodhana's categorization, Karna is coming immediately after Bhishma. So though Bhishma himself has put him under a lower category, Duryodhana is placing him on par with Bhishmacharya. So in fact, that shows, again, there is some little bit of discord within this Kaurava army. Some sort of distrust, some little bit of discord, which we don't find in the Pandava army. Bhavan Bhishmasya Karnasya Krupasya Samitinjaya. In fact, he is putting Karna above this Krupacharya. And Ashwathama Vikarnasya. Ashwathama is one man and Vikarna is another man. Saumadatti, Jayadratha. So these are the people who are also very mighty people. And Anyecha Bhavashura Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha. Nayaka Nana Shastra Praharana Sarve Yuddha Visharadaha. He says, Anyecha Bhavaha Shura. There are so many other warriors. Anyecha. Anyecha means many others. And Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha. That is, those who have come prepared to lay down their lives for me. Tyakta Jivitaha literally means those who have given up their lives. Those they have not yet given up their lives, they are not dead people. They have given up their lives means they are prepared to give up their lives for my sake. And Nana Shastra Parharanaha, they are having so many Shastras, they are having so many mighty weapons. And Sarve Yuddha Visharadaha, they are all experts in the battle. And he finally says, Apariyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam. Paryaptam tvidametesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. From our side, it is something, he is using a word called aparyaptam and another word called paryaptam. He says, our army is aparyaptam. In fact, the commentators have given two meanings for this. Aparyaptam, it also means, it is unlimited. It is, our army is something which is unlimited. Our army is, it is so huge in size. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam. Our army which is headed by Bhishma, it is something which is unlimited. And the army which is now headed by Bhima on the other side, it is something which is paryaptam. Paryaptam is, it is limited. But another meaning is, paryaptam and aparyaptam also means, paryaptam is adequate, aparyaptam is inadequate. So this sort of dhvani also is there in Duryodhana's words, but maybe Vyasa consciously used it, we do not know. And aparyaptam tadasmakam, when he says our army is unlimited, that is one meaning. Our army is inadequate, that meaning also is there, that sort of overtone or dhvani is there. Then he says, ayaneshu cha sarveshu yathabhagam avasthitaha bhishmamevahi rakshantu bhavantas sarvayevahi. He is also suggesting to Guru that ayaneshu cha sarveshu, in all these battle movements, ayana means a movement, like we say, Dashinayanam, Uttarayanam, etc. Ayana means movement. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu, in all these battle movements, when the army moves, naturally it has to move in a formation. When the battle moves, the formation should not change. If the formation changes, the enemy can break into that. So the formation has to be, they have to move in the same formation. If it is some eagle formation, it has to move like an eagle only. Or some other formation, it has to move in that formation only. Sarveshu yathabhagam avasthitaha. Yathabhagam means as positioned by the commander. Yathabhagam avasthitaha, as you have been, whatever is the field formation, you are not supposed to break that field formation. And Bhishmameva abhirakshantu, because the Bhishma happens to be the commander-in-chief. And the Senadhipati, as we say, that Senadhipati has to be always protected. In olden days, the Senadhipatis were physically present in the battlefield. The kings were physically present in the battlefield. Whereas nowadays, it is the soldier who is there in the battlefield, in the forefront. Only soldier, and above him maybe some major and maybe some colonel. Only up to that level they are in the battlefield. And not the generals and the brigadiers and such people, they are not in the battlefield directly shooting. So directly the people who are facing the bullet are the majors and the colonels and then the Javans and people like that. But in olden days, that was not the situation. The king had to be personally there. King was personally there. The commander-in-chief, whoever was the Senadhipati, he was personally there. So that is the reason why sometimes this was not followed by the other countries. For example, when the invaders came to India, the king himself was not there. Their best soldiers were there in front. And here, of course, the old king, our king, goes and stands there. That is how this Ramarayalu got killed in the battlefield, if we see history. So our people who followed Dharma Yuddha, they lost many wars. Some wars at least, not many wars. They also won so many wars. So they lost some wars because they did not follow this strategy of sending their best soldiers. So here, of course, we see Bhishma meva virakshantu. You protect Bhishma, he says. Then Bhishma, he is not a small warrior. Bhishma is a very mighty man. So in order to not please, just to cheer up Duryodhana, tasya sanjanayan harsham kuruvruddha pitamaha. He is called Kuruvruddha. He is also called Pitamaha. Kuruvruddha means the eldest among the Kurus, and he is also the Pitamaha for all these people, for Duryodhana, for Dharmaraja, for all these people. He is the Pitamaha. And Sanjanayan Harsham, just cheering up, causing him happy, making him happy. Simhanadam Vinadyoche, he gave a war cry. In olden days in the battlefield, they were using these battle cries. If you are from areas which are faction ridden, and if you see people who are going out to fight with the other teams, there are certain battle cries. So Simhanadam Vinadya Uchchehi Shankam Dadmau Pratapavan, and he also blew a conch. And in olden days they also had, all the great heroes, they had their own conches. They used to blow the conch. And if you can blow the conch in a very big manner, that is producing a very great sound, then that shows the greatness of the particular warrior. Then tata shankascha bheryascha pranava anaka gomukhaha sahasaiva abhyahanyanta sashabdas tumulo bhavat. Then following Bhishma, all other people, shankascha bheryascha, all these battle instruments, In the battle, even now, nowadays, we see in the battlefield, there are so many instruments, drums and so many things. Of course, they are more for ceremonial purposes now. Nowadays, when the army moves, all they don't go with the drums and bugles and whatnot. They don't go. They only silently the army moves. Very silently the army gets dropped somewhere. So that is the present scene. But in olden days, there was a war drums and then the bugles and then there used to be cow horns. That cow is sort of some sort of S-shaped thing which they used to blow. And all that probably it was also producing some little bit of fear in the mind of the opponent. If they are not so well prepared, all these drums and all these sounds, they would be creating some fear in the hearts of the other people. So that is what has happened. Sahasaiva abhyahanyanta sashabdas tumulo bhavata. That sound was very, very tumultuous, huge noise. Then from the other side, tata shvetair hayair yuktaihi mahatisyandare sthitau madhavah pandavasyaiva divyau shankau pradadpatuhu. From on the other side, shvetaihi hayaihi yukte syandane. That is Arjuna's chariot was having all these white horses, Shveta Haya. Shveta is white and Haya is horse. Haya and horse, they are again cognate words. And they were there on a great chariot. And Madhavaha Pandavasyaiva. Madhava is Krishna and Pandava now refers to Arjuna in this particular context. Of course, when you say Pandava, it can refer to Bhima, it can refer to any one of these Pandavas depending on the particular context. But here it is referring to Arjuna. Madhava Pandavasyaiva Divyau Shankau. They had this divine conscious. So they also blew the divine conscious. And of course, why are they divine? Because if you go back to Mahabharata story, there is an episode where Agni Deva, the fire god, he had on one particular occasion, both Krishna and Arjuna, they helped that Agni Deva. And Agni Deva was so happy. And then he gave Arjuna the Gandivam. Gandivam is that mighty bow which Arjuna carries. It was given by the fire god Agni Deva. And even the Shankam was given by Agni Deva. Similarly to Krishna also the Shankam Panchajanya was given by Agni Deva only. Panchajanyam. Pancham is 5. Panchajanyam. That is born from 5 or derived from 5. Maybe some philosophical meaning also is told by some commentators saying that it is Krishna being the avatara of that supreme reality. He is the person who is activating all the Panchabhutas. Panchabhuta are the 5 elements. That supreme reality is what is activating all this Panchabhuta, that is Prithvi, Apas, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha, as we say. So that is the one meaning given by the commentators. But anyway, here even if you take this Panchajanyam as the ordinary conch also, they blew this conches. Then, of course, here he is saying, he is also mentioning the names. Panchajanyam Hrushikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Poundram Dadmau Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrukodaraha. So Panchajanyam Hrushikesha. Some of the names, they also are very interesting. Hrushikesha means, in Bhagavad Gita, entire Bhagavad Gita, you get so many names for Lord Krishna, so many names of Arjuna. So Hrushikesha is one name. Sometimes you may find Krishna, sometimes you say Madhava, sometimes you get the name Hrushikesha, some other time some other name, Janardana, Madhusudana, so many names. So Hrushikesha, Hrushikam means Indriyam. Indriyam is sense organ. Hrushikesha means the Lord of the sense organs. The Lord of the sense organs, he blew that Panchajanyam. And again it is very symbolic. The 5 elements, they correspond to the 5 senses within our body. Vedanta says that all the 5 senses within our body, they have evolved from the 5 elements only. For example, eye can only see light, and the skin can only feel the touch, and the nose can only smell. So nose corresponds to what is called Prithvi Tattvam, whose nature is smell. And air is the nature is the Sparsha Gunam, that is Vayu. And the skin corresponds to that Sparsha Guna. And eye corresponds to Tejas, that is fire. Fire is something which also gives heat and light. So like that, all the 5 senses which we have, the 5 senses are derived from the 5 elements from outside. That is what we say. That is the reason why we say Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande. That is, just as this microcosm is there, the macrocosm, the external universe. In fact, the macrocosm is not different from the microcosm or vice versa. That is, microcosm is not different from the macrocosm. So Panchajanyam also means Hrishikesha, the lord of the Indriyas, the lord of the five senses. He is blowing that conch called Panchajanyam. That is, it is associated with the lord of Indriyas. And such a lord of Indriyas, he is now associated with Dhananjaya. That is, Dhananjaya is another name for Arjuna. Devadattam Dhananjaya. Devadatta is the name of Arjuna's conch, and Dhananjaya is another name for Arjuna only. Then Poundram Dadbhau Mahashankham Vrukodara. Vrukodara is another name for Bhima. Vruka means a wolf. So a person, a very strong man with a very slender waist like that of a wolf. So a very strong man should not be a pot-bellied man. Of course, sumo warriors we do see, but a real good warrior should have a slender belly, a slender, tough. That is what we nowadays talk about, six-pack and whatnot. So Bhima Karma Vrukodara. Vruka means a wolf. So a very strong man, but a slender waist. He blew the conch named Poundram Dadmau. Then of course other people also. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthirah Nakula Sahadevascha Sughosha Mani Pushpakau. Even Nakula and Sahadeva, they also had conches, and they also had some names, that is Sughosha and Mani Pushpaka. Then what is the name of Yudhishthira's conch? Ananta Vijayam. Ananta Vijayam is the name of, that is Vijaya, we know, Vijaya means victory. That is something which is ensured victory, ensuring victory we can say. Kunti Putro Yudhishthirah. The name Yudhishthira also means Yudhishthiraha. Yudhi plus Sthiraha becomes Yudhishthiraha. That is one who is very firm in the battlefield. We know that Dharmaraja, this is another name. Dharmaraja is normally the name, and he is also called Yudhishthira. On one hand, he is a person of righteousness, and on the other hand, he is also a person who is very firm in the battle. So it conveys a message that a person who is highly righteous need not be a timid fellow. A person who is highly righteous can also be a good fighter, can also be very firm in the battlefield. So that is what we see in this Yudhishthira. So that is the reason why Yudhishthira did not have any doubt. Yudhishthira did not get into such despondency like Arjuna, because Yudhishthira knows dharma. Yudhishthira, if you see the character of Yudhishthira throughout Mahabharata, Yudhishthira is portrayed as a very, very wise man. And in fact, Yudhishthiro Dharmamayo Mahadrumaha, the very first chapter of Mahabharata says, he is like a huge tree of Dharma, Dharmamayo Mahadrumaha. And on the other hand, Duryodhana is compared to Manyumayo Mahadrumaha. Duryodhano Manyumayo Mahadrumaha. Manyu means anger, hatred, that Krodha, what we call Krodha. Krodha is that anger, hatred, that is he is full of that. Duryodhana is a huge tree, which is the tree of Krodha, tree of anger, hatred. So that is how Yudhishthira is described in the Mahabharata. He is, at the same time, he represents Dharma, very firm in Dharma, very firm in the battlefield. So Yudhishthiraha, then Nakula Sahadevasya. Then other people like Kashyascha Parameshwasaha, Shikhandicha Maharatha, Drushtadhyumno Viratascha, Satyakischa Aparajitaha. So all these people again are names, various people. Then Drupado Draupadeyascha, Sarvashah Prithivipate, Saubhadrascha Mahabahu, Shankhan Dadmuh Pruthak Pruthak. All these people, one after the other, they blew the conches. One after the other, when they are blowing the conches, it's such a continuous one sound of conch merging into another sound. So it was so effective. And sa ghosho dhartarashtanam hrudayani vyadarayat. Napascha pruthivinchaiva tumulobhyanunadayan. That sound, that huge sound, dhartarashtranam hrudayani vyadarayat. That is, this sound was it was such a heart-rending. It was just tearing the hearts of Dhartarashtras. It was so fierce. It was so fierce that the other side, the army was frightened. And atha vyavasthitan drishtva dhartarashtran kapidhvajah pravrutte shastra sampate dhanurudyamya pandavaha Hrishikesham tada vakyamidamaha mahipate. Now Sanjaya is telling, "Oh Mahipate, oh my dear king." Then Arjuna, another name given is Kapidhvajaha. Kapidhvajaha means, we know that Arjuna, every great warrior had his own this flag. On that flag, this Hanuman was on that flag. Hanuman was sitting on that flag. In his own invisible manner he was sitting. So that is the reason why he is called Kapidhvajaha. So he made a request to Hrishikesha. He made a request to Hrishikesha, pravrutte shastra sampate. That is when that time of exchanging blows has come. That is shastra sampata, exchanging arrows. That the time for exchanging arrows has come. At that time, Arjuna requested Hrishikesha, Vakyamidamaha mahipate. He made a small request to Krishna. So what is that small request? And that request is going to change the course of Mahabharata, change the course here. So let us see tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.